Our second award is the Keough Award for Government Leadership. To tell us more about the award, please welcome Thomas Burak, former commissioner of the New Hampshire DES and shareholder with Sheehan Finney.
Thank you, Julie. I'm honored to introduce the EBC Award for Government Leadership. When the latest drought struck New Hampshire last year, many private drinking water wells started going dry, often because they were shallow, dug wells, which are still fairly common in the Granite State. Many of those who lost their water supplies were among the state's most economically vulnerable. Following a request by the governor, leaders at the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services took innovative and decisive action to build a multidisciplinary team, secure funding from the state's Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund, and largely to use those monies to install permanent drilled wells for many of these affected families. This approach to climate resilience is replicable and successful and demonstrates extraordinary leadership by governmental authorities. Now I'd like to introduce Aaron Holmes, the Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund Administrator with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, to tell us the rest of the story.
The problem is New Hampshire has about 46% of the residents are on private drinking water wells. And the drought really started expressing itself by late June of 2020. And really by October, the parts of the state were in severe drought. And on October 8th, the governor gave a directive to the Department of Environmental Services to develop a program to help our hardest hit citizens of the state with the drought. And if you are hit with a drought issue, most likely your well is dug. You have a dug well, which isn't very resilient to drought. So the goals and intentions of this program when it first started was, how do we quickly stand up a program that's efficient, that can be utilized and put out there by our drilling community, and that it can provide this financial assistance. And so we had to find funding, and that's where the Drinking Water Groundwater Advisory Commission comes in. And so the DES, we prepared a proposal to the Drinking Water and Groundwater Advisory Commission. They oversee the Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund. And that proposal incorporated estimates of the average cost to do different activities to your well to mitigate the drought. We looked at income data throughout the state to determine how many private residents that would be on a well that would fit these low-income brackets that we had developed. And then we quickly went into action with weekly meetings with our team, really trying to hit all the bases, engaging the Water Well Board. And then really the governor's directive is what kicked off the outreach. We also had the drilling community. The New Hampshire Water Well Board was one of our partners in this, who were banging on doors, responding to phone calls, educating the homeowners about the program. I would say 95 or more % of the projects are going from a dug well to a drilled bedrock well. And those are known to be, they're just more resilient to drought. They're not immune to it, but they're much more resilient in the long term. So that's really the intention of the program, is not just about today, but the long-term resiliency of that well for the future. So the future and ongoing goals, the best way to describe what I see this program as is in 3 different things. Number 1 is outreach. Number 2 is sustainability. And number 3 is the availability of this program throughout the drought. Outreach, as I kind of laid out our phase 1, phase 2, is very important. But for the long-term program, we need to be consistent in our outreach. What I'd like to see, and our goal, is to turn it off and on like you would a faucet. I'm an engineer. I like to put things together and I like them to work, and getting the team together and seeing what we could do in such a short amount of time, that typically doesn't happen in government or in state government, is where you just drop all the walls. So that gives me the greatest satisfaction, is seeing different parts of the agency that are normally not involved coming together and actually doing something really good in a very short amount of time.
Congratulations to the New Hampshire DES and the New Hampshire Well Water Board for their interagency collaboration that enabled a quick response in a dire drought. Here to accept the award on behalf of the project team is John Pasquale, project manager with the MTBE Remediation Bureau at the New Hampshire DES.
Thank you, Julie. On behalf of the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Emergency Drought Assistance Program team and the New Hampshire Water Well Board, I'm proud to accept the Paul G. Keough Award for Government Leadership. With Governor Sununu's initiative and the funding provided by the Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund, the team at the DES was able to quickly mobilize a successful financial assistance program utilizing our expertise. This effort incorporated our partners at the New Hampshire Water Well Board, who worked with the private sector well drillers and other state agencies. I'd like to recognize Aaron Holmes, the Trust Fund Administrator, for spearheading this project and putting an excellent cross-agency team together. I'd like to also recognize others who were instrumental in setting up this program: Steve Roy and Abby Fopiano of the Water Division, Paige Ralph, Jen Brady, Josh Whipple, Tina Clark, and Andy Fulton of the Waste Management Division, and Jean Ronigen, Josephine Patoa for providing technical support from the Department of Information Technology, and Corinne Tatro of the Administrative Services for helping us distribute the grant awards quickly. Thank you again.
Thank you, John, and to your whole team. It's really an incredible reminder that taking care of business in the environmental industry is also taking care of public health and safety.